Welcome, viewers, to another episode of It Depends podcast. We've had many experts on our previous episodes, but we don't often get to hear from the boots on the ground. Today, I'm delighted to introduce to you Milind Gupkar, co-founder and chief analytics officer of Modak. This is a company that has a data integration, data fabric platform, which is delivering impressive results in how modern data platforms are being built much faster and cheaper. I'm looking forward to hearing from Milind, his daily experiences, because he is truly in the trenches with his customers practically every time I talk to him. He is the rubber meets the road, pragmatic, hands-on guy who's working his weekends writing and deploying code. Not to mention, he has 7 patents in data engineering. Milind, thank you so much for taking the time and talking to us today. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks a lot, Sanjeev, for having me. Just for the viewers, I am co-founder and chief analytics officer at Modak. Like Sanjeev said, I am one of those lucky souls who discovered passion for working with data very, very early on. And I'm tremendously happy to say that for last 25 years, I'm just continuing that passion. Um, I, what my digital journey has been, luckily, knowing the whole what I call new data revolution in place, is the fact that I have been blessed to build some of the largest data platforms over a period of 25 years and still continue to do that. So that's my brief introduction, Sanjeev. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's such a pleasure. So why are you doing this? What are the problems that your customers are telling you that they're facing these days?
Yep. The reason why we started Modak, and I'll keep that very brief, is when I was working for my career started with IBM as a consultant. And being a consultant for 15 years, you get a very unique outsider perspective of what is going on. And then we saw in 2013, 2014, that companies started figuring out that they want to build these, how do I say, data practices, and they started hiring chief data officers. And one of the things is how do we accelerate the time to value, right? Because a lot of these projects fail. And by the time it delivers value, the business has moved on because they no longer need that. So the fundamental problem we are trying to achieve is how do I significantly reduce the time to value by 4 to 5x? That's the main mojo of why we are working at Modak. And then coming back to the problems you mentioned, I still see, and you probably have heard this a lot, is the data deluge and the data silos, which is happening in the industry. And what I mean by that is in the cloud era, this data silo and data deluge has burst open. Like a lot of enterprises now have their data in SaaS applications, their critical data in SaaS applications. How do you get that data from the SaaS application so that you can do some insight work on it? Or now with the cloud native tool stack, they're putting their data assets on the cloud. So they're building data warehouses, lake houses, data marts, all these things are now getting onto the cloud. So a lot of enterprises are still struggling to find out what their data landscape looks like because myriad of applications, their existing on-prem operational data stores, their own enterprise data warehouses, data marts, and now we have taken that problem onto cloud as well. So you have multiple things going on cloud. So that's one thing I've seen enterprise struggle with. And then the other problem when I talk about acceleration is the tool silos we have built. What do I mean by that? If you look at any data practice or enterprise data practice, they have a lot of tools in place to do data ingestion, data gathering, data curation. Then they have catalogs in place. Then they have data quality tools. Now they're putting in data ops, and then they're putting in data observability, all these tools. The fundamental problem when I see the enterprises facing is who is going to integrate all these tools and make them talk to each other. And my experience tells me that unless you address that thing, you cannot really accelerate your data journey. So that's the thing I want to stop. I can go on, but
I'm
these are
sure.
two fundamentally.
Yeah, there's so many problems. So if I were to summarize, so it's taking CDOs a very long time to get value from their data. the amount of data there's a deluge of data from all places, sources, storing, and then there's a fragmentation in tool sets. There's like too many tools, like the modern data stack, the MAD landscape that just came out has over 1,400 products. So let's move on to what is the solution, what trends are addressing these problems that you are witnessing.
So one of the latest things happening is everybody's talking about data ops. And the whole idea behind data ops is how do we automate more? How do we closely collaborate and build collaborative workspaces for people to quickly do that? And then also this whole process of data democratization. And what I mean by that is, earlier, if you look at like 2010, 2011, and then even for like next 4 or 5 years, what happened is we started building this massive data lakes. And then this was a central operation for a lot of enterprises. They said, bring all the data and throw it in my data lakes. And mostly they were on-prem clusters, massive clusters. And then the idea was that everybody would go to that single place and start curating that data. What that became totally is ungoverned mess. So they turned what popularly is known as data swarms. And then enterprises struggle to leverage that truly. So they built like 2 or 3 use cases on that whole Hadoop cluster, and then they were not able to scale. So they had difficulty scaling. So how do we address that? How do we help people decentralize where a lot of use cases are run in parallel? And how do you make more automation? And then the other thing I see successfully doing, and this is also from Gartner and others are also predicting, is a lot of these tools are converging their capabilities. And we have one of our products doing similar things, and a lot of others are also attempting the similar way, is bringing all these tools together and make them talk to each other, and they're calling these enterprise information platforms. So the idea is you still have the decentralized nature, but to detect where do I get data, where do I gather the data, what is the lineage of the data, is this data trustworthy? So we are seeing a lot of these data fabric implementations to address those things. So these are some of the trends I see in the market, and we are actually helping our customers implement that.
So interestingly, so what you said was we need a sort of a combination of decentralization and centralization. So decentralization to make things go faster, like, domain driven, like, so it's basically, we are saying it's a combination of data mesh and a data fabric. Data fabric is the centralization and integration of different components of the pipeline. So we reduce the friction between them.
Yes. So like if you think about fundamentally, like I love to tell this to our customers, right? So we are dealing with 3 fundamental problems, and I'm taking like maybe like a 100,000 square feet level view. So what we are doing is we are gathering data. So there is a process behind gathering the data. And once you gather the data, you're turning that data into what I call information/knowledge. That's one piece of it. And then somebody from the business takes this information/knowledge and turns it into business insights. So these are 3 distinct operations, right? So what I feel is the gathering of the data part can still be centralized. You don't want multiple business units hitting the same operational data stores and trying to pull the same data. That can still be a data fabric implementation, which allows you to quickly discover the data, get access to the data, and then understand the data, how that is used, and also use some tribal knowledge, which is behind what others are doing to that data. Then comes the part where now that I have discovered my data and I have access to my data, I want to turn that into some kind of information or data products, as we call it right now. In those cases, you need that domain knowledge right now. Like the IT team or the central IT team will struggle to go and implement it. They can provide tools knowledge of how to do certain things on a tool, but fundamentally, you are always collaborating with the business units to derive that domain knowledge. They have understanding of the data attributes. They have deeper understanding of the data sets and all those things. So those guys are very critical. And this is where the decentralized nature comes in. So how do I want one business unit to operate? I want like within the business units, I want multiple use cases to be done, and different business units, again, doing different things. So we go to a point where the decentralization helps. And then time to value is faster. And then once those values are there, your data products are there, and the data products can be anything, and we can get into that more later. But the data products are then consumed by the citizen data scientist, who then turn that information and the knowledge into business insights. So this is my lay of the land, how I love to think. So where does data fabric fall? In the centralized operation of building gathering your data and getting access to the data and discovering the data for other users.
Right.
The data to knowledge or data to information is the decentralized business units doing all these things and building data fabrics. And then the citizen data scientists get exposure to all these things where they are now turning from these data products to business insights.
That is great. So in fact, at the highest level, it could be data scientists, it could even be some other like a data analyst, business analyst, it could be even the business user, all using their own tool of choice. Like so basically we are like query engine agnostic, so somebody may,
and that leads to fundamental problem, right? Not just the query engines, because how do I define a data product? What I have seen at enterprises is data product is not like a one table or one data set, or it's even a combination of data sets. I have not seen that operational in the world. Yes, of course, you can have some one data set and combination of data sets. Then those data sets can be consumed by some BI or visualization tool, or what I call give this data to the data scientists where they can get insights and run ML models, AI models on this. But data product fundamentally, according to me, and we need to define that clearly, is not just a single data set or a set of data set. It can be an API. It can be a Kafka stream. It can be a knowledge graph. What else did we implement? We implemented Kafka stream as a data product. We implemented API as a data product. We implemented knowledge graph as a data product. And knowledge graph is very interesting, right? Because it allows users to quickly identify that multifaceted data, and they can grab around from a business perspective and see, like example I give you is you have an R&D scientist at a life sciences company. That person would love to go and search for a molecule or a compound and then figure out what all his enterprise has done on it, or figure out new relationship which he or she was not aware of. So the point is, we shouldn't, that's my opinion, but we should not restrict the definition of data product to like a data set or like a group of data sets. It is much, much broader than that. And all your tool stack and how you operate should be ready to accept those kind of data products.
Actually, this is so interesting because just today, I finished writing the first draft of a new blog, and this blog is called "What Exactly is a Data Product?" And this is one of the hardest blogs I've written. It has taken me a long time because every time I talk to people about what is a data product, I got different answers. For some, a table is a data product. For some, it is not. So it took me 6 pages of just trying to define and explain what is a data product. Because in my mind, if we don't get the definition and the parameters right, then we are going to suffer down the road. In my research, I actually found something super interesting. In 1970s, Dr. E.F. Codd came up with, if you remember, the 12 rules of relational databases. Why did he create it in 1974? That is because the companies at that time were busy putting this relational veneer, and those are exact words, on top of the existing offerings and calling it relational. So we need that.
But are we close to agreeing on the framework or we are no? Okay.
Yeah, not yet. I think it'll take us a little bit longer, but I think we're getting close. So in fact, talking about that, so the vision that you explained, so this is not, what you're explaining is, not something that's unique to what Modak's doing, but I'm curious, how are you different, or what is it that you feel you are doing that makes Modak's a unique offering, if I may?
Yeah. So one thing, I mean, so I'll see, like I told you, our goal in life, this is the whole every Modak team member goal in life is how can we significantly reduce the time to value? And that's the fundamental gist of like Modak, why Modak exists, right? And I will start with an example what we recently did. This is a top 5 life sciences company, and within 12 weeks, and I don't know in a traditional approach how long would it have taken. I would have expected if I writing a draft for my previous job, it would be at least a year or year and a half. In 12 weeks, we stood up a data lake on the cloud. We got access to 200 different data sources, and from that 200 different sources, we ingested and profiled data of about 150K data sets. And all of this was done under 12 weeks. And the platform was up and ready. It was almost a production grade platform. And then immediately after that, we started working on 8 different business use cases in parallel, along with our customers. And as soon as we did that, within a year, we developed a convergent, what we call data platform, which was given access to about 5,000 R&D scientists, and the immediate business value was visible. Now, the great news is we are moving the needle in drug discovery. This is for an R&D organization of life sciences. So the drug discovery is why they exist. And if anybody who has been in life sciences knows how difficult discovering drug is, and we immediately moved the needle where the scientists immediately found something they have been searching for a long time. And I don't know what they found, but the good news is they found it. And as soon as they found it, the whole enterprise was behind this whole initiative, because that's where rubber meets the road. Because when you have delivered significant value, then the whole organization was behind this effort. Now this is one of the
like what value did they get? Like for example,
the value they got is they discovered, and I'm not privy to that information at all, but what they discovered is some relationship between a gene and a particular compound at a target. And they immediately, everybody got excited. And this was because we converged information from external data, internal data, and all those things. And that, just to give you a business context, a drug from discovery to go to like phase 3 clinical trials and other things takes 10 years. That's the reason why drugs are so expensive, because it takes so much time.
Yeah.
And
$1 billion. Yeah.
Yes. And what we have done is, how do we build data and data-driven processes where we shorten this time cycle for drug discovery and also operationalization of those drugs. So what we did is, within that, as soon as the people got access to that data, they started researching on it and figuring out relationships. And immediately, one of the double PhD people, I call them, because they are extremely brilliant, and they immediately found that relationship. And what I could see is that everybody was happy, celebrating, and the team was like, "Oh wow, we did this in an extremely short time of period." And then there was a board level backing for all this data platform. So that's what Modak achieved for one of its customers. Now, how did we achieve that, right? That the question is, I gave an example. What did you do? What we did is, with our leveraging our product Nabu, Modak Nabu, we rapidly built that data fabric, right? In 12 weeks, we built the data fabric.
What's Nabu?
Nabu is our integrated platform, which we call, I'll tell you why it is called integrated data platform. But what it allows you to do is, it allows you to build data fabric at an enterprise scale in just weeks. And it allows you to then have access to the data. Then it allows you to build your collaborative workspaces and then start tagging that data for you. What I mean by that is, it uses a machine learning engine to go and tag data for you. For example, drug ID or a customer ID or a product ID. It does, once it gets trained, it goes and automatically tags for you. And if you remember the scale of things we operate, I'm talking about 150K data sets. So manually, it's impossible to do that, right? So we do that. And then we allow the users to come in and start building curation pipelines for that data. So this is our product. And the core capabilities, why this is so successful, and this is one of the reasons I am so passionate about it. And we have large implementation to talk about the success stories there. is that it integrates all these capabilities into one. It integrates ingestion with using a low-code approach. It integrates curation using a low-code approach or no-code approach. And it has a catalog, a technical catalog. It has data observability features. It has data quality features. And it also allows you to do augmented data preparation. So once you tag the data, now how do I join this table with this table? So the platform is able to tell, hey, by the way, if you're looking to join this information with this information, here's the relationship between these two data sets, which is very important for somebody building data pipelines. So we brought all these capabilities together, and then we also have data ops on top of it. And the observability, I think, is one of the hottest topics right now. But the way we designed observability and data quality is the pipeline itself is sending alerts, telling that, hey, look, I found a huge data set. I found duplicate records. I have this data quality issues. So it is sending you alerts saying what is happening with me. And that's the best way to know, right? If I'm monitoring, let's say, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 data pipelines, I don't want to go and start looking at each and every pipeline to figure out what is its life cycle, is it behaving correctly or not. I want the pipeline to tell me its health. And that's what we achieved. So we achieved the complete, I would as far as go, because I'm so passionate, nirvana of data engineering. We still have a lot of ways to go. But the fact that we're able to converge all these capabilities allows this acceleration.
That is very interesting, because we talk about this quite a bit. There's the best of breed, and then there's this integrated solution. With best of breed, you get more capabilities, much more depth, one would hope. But with integrated, you can reduce that time to develop and deploy. And you mentioned that some of the benefits earlier on. I went to your website before this podcast, and I noticed that there's a Bio IT award from 2022. So I believe some of your clients' names are public. Can you tell us, like, which of these clients you're referring to, or?
No, this is another client I'm referring to. That client is still not public, but hopefully they will. By the next time we speak, that whole thing will be public. Okay. But we have some clients which we use, like Humana, who have spoken about us, and then there are other clients like GSK who have spoken about us. So these are a couple of clients. And in the Bio IT, the reason Bio IT gave us the most innovative product, or one of the key products to watch out, was we within our product we have something called crawlers and spiders, and what they do is they go in and start collecting that metadata from all your data repositories, be it structured, be it semi-structured or unstructured. And you know how many data repositories are there in current enterprise, and they go collect all the metadata and start giving you an idea of what your data landscape looks like. Like example, in one of the enterprise data warehouses we crawled, we had 1 million data sets, and nobody knew why they were, and most of them were useless because they were staging tables or some other things and everything else. So how do you manage this whole data inventory you have, right? So and then once we have this inventory, then the secret of, and any practitioner will tell you that in an enterprise, close to around 5% of the data is what is useful, right? 95% of the data is artifacts around that business process.
Only 5%?
Yeah, 5%. Because if I go to an operational data store where there is some like let's say a customer onboarding application you have, now you have varied amount of data related to that onboarding process. I might not care about that, except the fact that when was he onboarded and how long did it take him for onboarding. But I am more interested in what kind of customer did I onboard, when did I onboard, what can I do with that customer, how can you serve him better, right? So the 90% to 95% of that data is artifacts which are relevant for that application which is onboarding the data. But from a usage perspective, I only probably use 5%. So how do you quickly go to that 5%, right? These are my critical data sets, and this is where I will derive my value. And that's a secret. And that's the reason why data lakes failed, because you dump all this data and then humanly like, oh, wow, I have to go through these 100,000 data sets to figure out what I need. No. How do I make it more easier for my customer to accessing? Can you tell me which are the most used data sets for customer? Okay, bring those in. Can you tell me about this product? And then, okay, this product is related to these customers. Can you tell me where these customers reside in what data sets? So that's how a human brain works. Human brain is not good at figuring out columns and data sets and everything. Human brain, the reason why Chat GPT, Open GPT is so sorry, Chat GPT is so successful is the fact that it allowing me to converse in a human interface way and giving me amazing and stunning results. So in this as well, how do we quickly discover the data which I need and then start that process?
Yeah. In fact, since we are talking about ChatGPT, GPT-4 just got announced as we are recording this. And the amazing thing is that now we don't even have to chat. I could just talk to a device which will then, using OpenAI interface, convert it into a query, a SQL query.
And we are already working on, means our team is also figuring out how to incorporate Chat GPT earlier and to kind of figure out like how do we help curate data faster. And we are already like looking at that from last 1 month. And then this Chat 4 GPT, which has come, is mind-boggling. The reason it is mind-boggling is, and this is like everybody needs to rethink a lot of the things which we do. And I'm not scaring anybody, but because obviously there will be roles to be played by us humans. But this chat, the GPT-4 has already gotten into 10th percentile as far as GRE exams is concerned, law exams are concerned, and all those things in top 10 percentile. Where it didn't go in top 10 and it was really in bottom is linear algebra, calculus, and hard problems in chemistry and hard problem in maths. So I think we still have the data engineers still have some role to play. But the what I'm excited about GPT-4 is it allows 25,000 tokens to be taken. And with 25,000 tokens, you can literally throw in a lot of your existing queries and existing pipelines in some structured format for it to understand. And then you can ask, okay, now that you know this, tell me if you can help me with joining these two other data sets, or tell me how do I glean information for that. I see that a distinct possibility at the rate which this is going. So yeah, excited with the new technology as well.
So so since you're talking about ChatGPT, I feel personally it's transformational. But even today, as I was reading about GPT-4, Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, was talking about hallucinations, and there's still kinks in it. So in my mind, data quality is super critical. It's always been critical, but it's taken on a new importance, because if my data is not correct, then anything ChatGPT spews out will be incorrect because it's trained on wrong data. You mentioned that data quality is part of Modak Nabu. My question is, why do we still have data quality problems, and what exactly are you doing to fix that?
The fundamental problem is applications take their own life cycle. So the team which is building applications, and there are legacy applications which have been done like 10 years, 15 years back, and they're still continuing. And then with mergers and acquisition, you bring in more applications in your enterprise, right? And then the point is, a lot of these guys, they don't talk the same language. Like as simple as a gender, you don't have a dictionary for gender, right? Everybody has their own dictionary of what a gender means. Or even an attribute like customer. We have customer where in certain cases, these 10 keys make a customer unique. And in one case, we have like 2 keys which make a customer unique. So we are not talking about that. So because of these issues in sources and not having an enterprise dictionary of what everything means, where everybody is trying to build that data governance process and all those things, all these data quality issues creep in. And one code means something, and then somebody forgot to add that because their application was developed 15 years back. Then you need to tell them like, but for this condition, you need to add this code and other things. So we will continue to have these data quality issues, right? We cannot go into a world where we can get rid of these data quality issues, because that's the landscape we are in. The question which is when you're curating this data, and a lot of data engineer time is spent in actually standardizing it, these data quality issues and clauses. How quickly can you identify it? Like, let's say I saw a new code. I don't want to wait until my customer finds out that the data is wrong. I need to know within my pipeline, and it tells me, hey, you know what, for a gender, I found a completely new code and I don't know what to do with it. Can I do that? The other is duplicate records. That this is more often than not I hear. So you're expecting some nice clean records, and suddenly you start getting duplicate records which you're not aware of. Then can my pipeline tell me that, hey, look, you know what? Today I found duplicate records. What are you going to do? The other thing is, I have seen customers where today they're expecting 1 million record file, and suddenly that balloons to like 50 million record file. Then the pipeline goes haywire. It doesn't know what to do. It fails. But how do I tell my customer immediately that the reason we are having this is now I got 50 million records where I expect 1 million. So these are the things which we need to address. Back to your data quality, I don't know whether the way you process it is you go back to your stakeholders in the operational systems and help rectify that, which is again a process which you need to continue to evolve. But can we solve it immediately? No. Do we need to be more creative and build some automation around data quality? Yes, that's the way you can accelerate your process.
So I love what you just said. Basically, what I'm taking away is that we are never going to solve data quality problems at the source. M&A will happen. We'll have two different definitions. So just take that as a fact of life. But the question is, what do we do about it? And so what you're saying is the emphasis should be on how quickly can I detect and remediate.
Yes, correct.
So what is Modak doing that is different or that's unique or that's more trend setting, future thinking? Because there's not a new problem.
Yeah, no, not a new problem. So what we do is, even before you curate the data, our product actually profiles the data, and it also builds this relationship, and it allows you to say, look, I have gender here. This might be, it gives you confidence. Even let's say the column is not named gender, it's named something else. Let's call it column 10 or X or whatever that is, right?
Right.
But the couple of things we do, we immediately go and say, look, we think this is gender, so that the user is immediately known, and we tag it as gender. This is done by our machine learning capabilities. Then we warn him also on the fact that, look, there is a quality issue here, probably a quality issue. Do you want to look at it? So while curating the pipeline itself, we are taking care of some of these issues. And then once he starts building the pipelines, within the pipeline, he can drag and drop a data quality role and say, please put a role for this, rule for this data quality. And then if the pipeline fails that data quality rule, then an alert is given to whoever is looking for monitoring the pipeline, saying that, look, this condition has not been met. And where we are evolving is, and the evolution, like again, in a couple of sprints and other things, we are continuously upgrading our capabilities. Where we are evolving is we are creating a data quality monitoring dashboard for everyone. So in fact, a lot of elements in an enterprise, wherever they are, if you fundamentally say, go identify gender, for an example, or a customer ID, for an example, or whatever business entities you have, for those, wherever it identifies the data, it starts telling that, look, there is a potential quality issue and maybe you want to remediate or do whatever it is, but I am telling you this, proactively telling you this. So we are building a data quality dashboard to handle these kind of issues.
Are the rules being created automatically when machine learning infers there's some relationship, or is this manual?
That's where we want to potentially go to do that. Right now, no. I'll be honest with you. What we are doing though is when we tag a column for a entity, like a business entity, like customer ID, or when we tag it to let's say a gender or whatever it is, we are throwing immediately there, we are saying, look at the data quality, because even though I tell you that it's gender based on my inference, there are some quality issues with this. That's what we are doing right now. Of course, later on, the next step of evolution is prodding them data quality rules to address that, but we are not there yet.
Okay. And you're doing this early, like shift left. You're not like
Yes.
waiting. Okay. One more question I have is, what is the role of knowledge graph in this data quality? Like just the graph analytics, do you think that can help improve?
Yeah, what we are trying to do, and this is something we are collaborating with a partner now, is to address not just the cataloging issue. This addresses lineage issue. This addresses refresh. When was my data refreshed? Where is my data coming from? Is this trustworthy? What kind of transformations have been done to this data? So this is all lineage information, but that's also catalog information, because you need to understand the business context. You understand this, and within that, we are also embedding the quality issues. Like, let's say you want to search for a particular data set or a parameter. We are building a knowledge graph based capabilities where, and this is completely new, and we are working with a partner on it, is can we have catalog like capabilities? Right now, if you look at data catalogs, and this is where the data quality comes in, everything comes in. When I open up a data catalog, in a lot of the enterprises, it's a static thing. You go search for a catalog, it tells you what it is, it gives you the business summary and all those things. What it lacks is immediately there, because that's okay, I got it, right? Then I'm not using my catalog at all. I'm not making any decision based on my catalog or whatever it is. How about you search for a data set, immediately it's telling you about the data quality problems with the data set, and it's giving you the business context. Not only that, it is also telling you where it came from, how frequently it is refreshed, when was it last refreshed, and then creating all these elements and putting that in knowledge graph, because knowledge graph allows you to kind of like have this multifaceted data and then glean information very, very quickly out of it. Then the cool thing about that is not just building the knowledge graph. What we want to do is, can we create business processes out of this knowledge graph? So I found a data quality problem, exploring my knowledge graph. Can I immediately create a business process where I send a note out to, let's say, Salesforce or a ServiceNow business process, where somebody is going to look at it and then decide on it, and then again capture that information back. So you want to capture operational metadata, you want to capture business metadata, you want to capture technical metadata, and the most important thing for us to accelerate is capturing the tribal knowledge. Anybody else who has previously done, humans are very good at replicating something, and we are trained to learn by mimicking someone. So if that mimicking has been done, based on my experience, what happens is when a team of data engineers moves from one engagement to another engagement, the previous engagement tribal knowledge is all lost. We are starting again. Some other team comes, they are starting with a clean slate. So how do we capture that tribal knowledge also to enhance this whole data curation business?
Yeah. And what technology are you using? You said you're partnering. What's your
so we are already a partner with Neo4j in building knowledge graphs. We have some of the largest. We, along for our customers, both Neo4j and us, have worked on building some of the largest knowledge graph for life sciences industry, because knowledge graphs, especially for R&D function, are very, very critical, because they bring lots of data, different aspects of data. And so we are partnering with them. Then we are also starting to partner with other person who already has built these capabilities in terms of having the functionality to build it. What Modak is going to do is now publish all that data there, and then come back with this knowledge graph based data catalog.
And what other technologies do you use?
By the way, Modak is more of a services shop, right? And then we use these accelerators and products to accelerate our journey. But our team is exposed to pretty much every cloud technology there is. So it's not just that we only do it on Nabu. In fact, a lot of our engagements, we also go and work on Azure stack, we work on AWS stack, we work on Google stack. So pretty much every tool they exposed to, we have knowledge, like whether it's Azure Databricks or Azure Synapse or Azure Data Factory or Google BigQuery or Data Factory, or you go to AWS Glue, AMR. So we are well versed with a lot of these things. And that's one of the very uniqueness of Modak, which is it's very cloud agnostic. We bring in both services and product. What that allows us to do is a lot of our deliveries is offshore. So we are for our customers, what we are doing is we are bringing some very rapid accelerators which build data fabric at scale and allow you to build data products at scale. Having done that, we also augment it by services. Not that only Modak has to do it. We are also partnering and training people on that. But the good news for a customer is they know that this will get delivered, right? We're not just selling a product and going away. We have a good amount of services to back that up.
So when you started in around 2014, 15, you were talking about how the CDOs, you mentioned the role of CDOs. Almost 10 years down the road, now the CDO role is hopefully more established. Have you seen different in priorities from CDOs 10 years ago and today?
Yes, of course. One of the things which was there was the CDO was first, they were grappling with this, right? The CDO role, the challenge for CDO role was when how do you distinguish yourself from CIO role, which is again information technology or CTO role and everything else. And they were thinking, okay, I'll own data, but what do I mean by owning data? Now the role has started shifting to delivering business value because everybody has invested time and energy to build that CDO practice without, and in most cases, I'll be brutally honest that they didn't have a lot of power to change the business economics because the business economics happens at the business unit level, right? So then the CDO role now is how do I establish core capabilities and then engage with the business unit to understand the business problems and help the business unit itself deliver that rather than like the decentralization happened rather than a single big enterprise under a CEO, CDO, and then they doing the data curation and all those things. So I'm slowly seeing that shift where the IT organization and the CDO organization and all these guys are going to provide a core capability fundamentals where they have a stack of things which you can use. And then you have the decentralized business units who are going to do the data curation and take the ownership of the data products and then publish the data products for everyone. The challenge, of course, there is the disadvantage of this is how do I ensure that the data set curated by one business unit also is able to talk to another data set? And that's not happening and probably will not happen. But then we are compromising because we need acceleration as far as creating data products is concerned.
So do you see that changing? Like, I mean, that seems so critical, like making sure all the business units are talking to each other.
Yeah, see, when you look at that, what I feel is they should focus on the shareable data. A lot of processing, like let's say if you take marketing and sales data, that has very less to do with the CFO data, like except the fact that you might need the customer data sets and number of customers adding and the number of things you're doing that might be relevant to the CFO. But the point is, a lot of the data consumption, what they create is there for their own use, right? But there are X percentage which is very low, like 1% or 2% or less than 5%, let's say. Those are the data sets which are crucial where we need to have some kind of governance around those data sets that you can't have a customer ID which is different here than this. I still need to join those. Yeah. You can't have a product ID which is different in your explanation than this. So enterprises, what they need to know is, I think, based on my experience, every different vertical, be it banking, insurance, or healthcare, or life sciences, whatever it is, they have anywhere from 20 to 25 core business entities. And when I mean by that is like product, customer, and all these things. They have these entities. For these entities, let's use standardization in the sense you cannot go and create another type of ID for my customer, right? You have to always use this kind of thing. So there you need to put some governance model so everybody's talking the same language. Yeah. Beyond that, can I control it? Do I have the ability in enterprise to control it without slowing down the acceleration? No. So let it go. Yeah. I'm probably being cynic here, but that's my take on it, right? How do you accelerate versus how do you manage what you can manage, and for other things you let go.
So you prioritize, basically.
Yep, you prioritize, yes.
Yeah, and then okay. What percentage of your customers today have a CDO?
Pretty much everyone.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, because we generally see our customers are like large enterprises. Means I don't think any one of our customers is less than Fortune 500 or maybe Fortune 100, most of them. So we have top customers, and most of our customers are people who want to abandon the old way, and they are in a new digital transformation or data transformation initiatives at an enterprise level.
Right.
And some of our initiatives which we work on are blessed by board level initiatives. So that's like game changing for their enterprise. So in case of like a large top three health insurance payer, we are working on their interoperability needs, because now all the patient data by regulation has to be shared with the patient and others as he consents, and this has to go back. And then slowly the insurance companies are realizing that if you want to reduce the cost of the medical bills and the cost of medical care, we need integrated healthcare model, which is I need to know when to proactively ask my member or a patient to go see for some disease, or ensure that the care is optimally delivered and have a well-rounded care for the member. This is their strategy, right? So these are the customers we work with on a large scale initiative. Most of it is, again, everywhere data plays the key role to derive insight and also ensure that everybody is talking to everyone. So that's where most of our customers are. And that's the reason why I say that a lot of our customers have CDOs already in place.
So that is great. So you mentioned you work for these large enterprises, mostly in life sciences, and I think you mentioned healthcare insurance.
Yep.
So this year, in 2023, we are seeing there's a lot of economic downturn, headwinds. Are you witnessing that? Is there any impact on the work you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Means I just came off like a month, I think 2 months ago, we had one of our customers where they were, we were not doing it, but there was another team which was running a place where they were trying to process, look at the scale, 500 terabytes of data on cloud. And then this data was to be shared with regulatory authorities, and they had timelines to be met. And suddenly the team blew up like 200K in cloud cost. And this was like a critical situation where we can't have that kind of cloud spend, and can we get it done in time? And then we stepped in, resolved that, and reduced the cost by almost 95%. But what I'm seeing more and more is, as the ramp up of the cloud has happened, while it has given the data engineering teams an ability to quickly spin up a capacity and run that capacity, they never really thought about the cost implication. Especially large enterprises have come, what they do is generally they have capex model, which is I invest in hardware and software, and then I don't have to worry for next 3-4 years, and I don't have to worry about the budget, because that's a true capex model which is there. Now what is happening is, as soon as you have transitioned to the cloud, while the enterprises have signed these large deals saying that I want this kind, I buy this kind of compute capacity from different cloud providers, still it's operational model, OPEX model. And in that OPEX model, let's say you budgeted $1 million for your cloud cost, and suddenly it goes to like 1,200,000. Then where does the money come from? Where does the 200K come from? And you have to get a lot of different approvals and this and that, scares executives. So one of the things I'm seeing right now with the economic headwinds, as well as the fact that we are matured in the cloud, is trying to reduce the cloud cost. In fact, we just completed a POC a month back where, without touching the code of the pipelines, we were able to reduce the cost by 40% using one of our another products called Edu, where the processing of the data was done more efficiently on cloud, and we showed that we could achieve 40% or greater cost reduction in the cloud. So I do see that thing primarily driven by two things. One is, of course, the economic headwinds. And the second one is the fact that they are matured enough where they're now realizing, okay, how do I run this on a steady state basis rather than getting these price shocks?
Yeah. So cost optimization is become such a big deal. Have you also seen if there's been a shift in people who you talk to within these companies, like either more on business side, are they on IT? What's the shift, if any?
To be honest, we do talk with a lot of because we build data fabrics. We talk with IT and IT systems and centralized organizations initially, and then as we move along, helping people curate their data. Like remember, the gathering of data is done now. From gathering, I need to turn it into information, and that side we deal with business folks. So then the team goes in and stays long, where we deal with the business leaders and understand their domain problems. And Modak has become very good with these two verticals where we understand healthcare and life sciences very well. We do know the domain problems. We do understand what they're trying to achieve. And then the services organization has become really good. And then we even, in our product also, we take those learnings and push some of those things back, like how do I deal with ontologies? How do I deal with unstructured data? Because healthcare and life sciences, a lot of unstructured data, right? So how do I glean insights out of the unstructured data? How do I apply NLP and ensure that I understand what this document is talking about, and then use that and then send that insight to somebody else? So yes, we primarily initially deal with the centralized IT organizations and then slowly move to the business side to help them curate the data.
Very, very interesting. So, because I talk to different companies that have different models, some go only to the CDO, some go business, IT. So, I have one last question that I want to ask you because we are getting close to the end of our time here. A lot of your clients already have, I'm sure these large enterprises have everything under the sun, like multiple data catalogs, multiple data integration tools, CI/CD, observability. How do you negotiate and how do you work with these existing tools?
So the good news is we purposely built Nabu to be transparent and have API capability so that other tools can be integrated. So for example, a lot of our customers also have data catalogs. So what we tend to do is go there and start publishing whatever we are doing in Nabu to that catalog if they want to come that route, right? With data observability tools, we have some partnership where we are, apart from we sending the alerts, we also take that alerts and publish to other partners saying like, hey, go do whatever you want to do with this. So what we are looking at is fitting in this ecosystem and then showing the value, and then also be able to expose ourselves to everyone using RESTful interfaces where we can talk to each other or send information and other things. But just to be very cocky, what we are also seeing is once they start using Nabu for like 6 months or a year, we see that we are taking away some of the tools from data integration space, and they are looking at like sunsetting some of those tools and using our tools.
I see. I also noticed that's really good. You're able to do that and save costs. I also noticed your data catalog. I was just going through your website has Apache Atlas APIs, so you're also adopting some open standards.
Yes. Because what we do is whatever we do, we want to adopt some standards. So Apache Atlas has become that common framework. So we publish our tags to Apache Atlas, and then a lot of our customers take those tags and then apply privacy guidelines like GDPR or any of the privacy pipelines, and then they apply those to, like, let's say a Cloudera or a Starburst or whatever it is. So we allow that enablement, and we are standardizing, of course, on Apache Atlas. So good news is we are an intelligent orchestration. We don't do much. So example, Nabu can be deployed on all three clouds. Nabu can use Azure Databricks. Nabu can use Dataproc from Google. It can use AWS Glue, and we have our own tool Edu, which also allows you to like take the data. So what we are saying is we are the intelligent orchestrator for you who will orchestrate all these workloads across one or multiple cloud. And we will be, if you want to move tomorrow, let's say, imagine the pain. And this is one of the things we need to think about, enterprises need to think about, is today you are on Azure and you're taken all that tool stack, you're not mitigating your risk. Tomorrow, if you want to port all this workload to AWS, it's going to take lots and lots of pain and migration. Like example, if you have Teradata and you're trying to move to DB2 in the old world, imagine the pain it would cause spending millions of dollars. What we are facilitating is, if you use Nabu, today you decide to run on AWS, and tomorrow you want to, let's say, shift to Azure or vice versa, or whatever the enterprise deal is, we make it happen very seamlessly. In fact, we have a use case where one customer is picking the data from on-prem, processing the data on Dataproc, and then publishing those results to Azure Synapse. And we do all that orchestration. So this is where we are.
Great. Well, this is amazing. I cannot believe how fast this time flew by, and there's so much to talk about. I have one last question before we wrap up. Love to hear what are some of the lessons that you have learned that you can share with listeners, and tell us something interesting about you.
Absolutely. Lessons learned, right? Means as an entrepreneur, I was working with IBM. I had the big hollow of IBM hollow behind me, and I could like talk to anybody I wanted to. But as a single entrepreneur, you need to be really, really tenacious. You need to pivot often to understand your customer and what their needs are and how do you work with it. The advice for people who are starting out in data engineering is, given what the new thing is there, one is their lifespan, which is going to increase tremendously, because I know for sure, because we're working in life sciences. So they're going to stay 100, 150 years on average, believe me, in the new generation which is coming up because of the medical advances in medical science. Wow. And then how do you reinvent yourself consistently? So they need to train themselves to reinvent consistently. And they might do 3 or 4 jobs in that lifespan of 100 or 150 years. So they need to reinvent themselves and have a breadth of skills and not focus on just one skill. Okay, I want to just learn Azure. I'm not going to go learn other techniques, other thing, anything. So that's my advice for people who are getting into the job. And then on a personal front, what do I love? Apart from being a geek who codes on weekends and other things, I'm very, very passionate about growing fruits. So I grow mangoes and I grow citrus. And my recent thing which I did on citrus is I started growing kaffir limes. And now I can cook my own tom yum goong soup from my garden with lemongrass and kaffir lime leaves. And galalgal. So that's other passion I have, which is growing some fruits and enjoying them.
I had no idea. This has been amazing. Thank you so much. I have really, truly enjoyed talking to you. Cannot wait to see what's coming up next. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Sanjeev. Thank you.
Thank you.